Hello, everyone. My name is Lisa Rowe. I am the CEO of Support After Abortion, and I am grateful to be among you today. I wanted to personally welcome you to our Support After Abortion Healing Network weekly Facebook Live event. You are going to hear personal testimonies, stories of restoration, how other people are providing restoration, and it is our hope that we can spread the message of hope and healing far and wide. I am so excited to introduce you to Karin Barbito, our program director. She is going to be interviewing someone so amazing today, and you are going to enjoy and leave enlightened, empowered, and equipped.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Lisa, for that introduction. As she said, my name is Karin Barbito, and I am the Director of Programming for Support After Abortion and your host for our Healing Network weekly Facebook Live event. I'm so glad to be here with you today. We have two characters on our show today. You're going to have so much fun. So sit back and relax. Get a paper and pencil because they're going to give you some really great tips along this conversation. And so we have two people with us today. We're going to start by introducing Tammy Kocher. She is the Executive Director of New Life Family Services, a pregnancy center with multiple locations in the Minneapolis area. They have an after-abortion healing program called Conquerors After Abortion. And what's really unique about their center is that they're a licensed adoption agency as well. Welcome, Tammy. It's so good to see you today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Did I say your last name right?
You did.
Awesome, because I didn't ask you ahead of time, so thank you for that. And joining Tammy is Tim Welsh. He was a former pregnancy center executive director in Ohio, and he's now the executive director of Bethesda Healing. That is a standalone after-abortion healing program that's not connected with a pregnancy center. I think he told me when we talked earlier that it's the oldest one in the state of Ohio. We're the first one that was ever adopted that was standalone, which that's pretty unique. And he's also the CEO of Bottoms Up. And I'm sure you're all wondering what that is. We're going to let Tim tell us about that in a little bit. So guys, welcome. How are you?
Wonderful.
Thank you.
You guys know each other, so this is going to be fun. I introduced you as characters, so don't disappoint the audience. They're going to be expecting things from you now. So yeah, I'm really, thanks for being here. Both of these individuals are presenters at our virtual conference that starts this Thursday at noon and goes through Saturday at 10 p.m. Please write down their names, Tammy Kocher and Tim Welsh. Look for them on the agenda and just make sure that you click and watch their presentations. You won't be disappointed. They're going to give you a little teaser at the end of the show today. So, Tammy, so what brought you to a pregnancy center? Why are you sitting in that chair?
It's a great question. And just the short story is my degree is sociology. All I knew is I wanted to work with people, and nobody told me that would actually be called social work. So wasn't that helpful of a degree. I found myself working for an international missions organization, but I was doing financial administration, which was not my passion, even though I loved the mission. Got married, moved to Minnesota, and got a job working for a local county government. Loved working with people. Was so happy to be there. After about 5 years, I had little kids at home, and I just was really missing kind of the eternal impact of what I had done previously at the missions organization. And I just was asking the Lord, isn't there a way to put this together? Like my passion for people with, an eternal purpose. And lo and behold, there was an opening at New Life. I knew a little bit about pregnancy centers, but not that much. And I started and I just fell in love with the ministry. I fell in love with the mission, with the staff, with the clients. Like I just thought, this is what I'm born to do. And so I really fell in love. I learned everything on the job. And little did I know that 8 years later, I would take on being the leader of the organization. So I've been here for 19 years now. So.
Wow, that's awesome. That's very similar to my story. I worked like in a food pantry kind of environment for 8 years, helping the homeless and the marginalized and things like that. And so when I came to a pregnancy center, it was like a new world. I didn't even understand the language. You know what I mean? So I can imagine what that was like for you. Yeah. Thank you for that, Tammy. How about you, Tim? A former executive director of a pregnancy center. That's not real common.
Well, you talk about not understanding the language. That try being a man in that world. I mean, it was, and my story is pretty short. I don't know quite I don't really know what brought me where I am. I mean, I just kind of, it was just a matter of happenstance. You know, I ran a pregnancy care center prior to coming to Bethesda, and I ran Ohio Right to Life prior to that for 10 years. So it's just kind of, I've been in the pro-life movement around Central Ohio for a long time and around the state of Ohio for a long time. And it just seemed like a natural fit. And over a cup of coffee one day, somebody just asked me to come do it. And I said, to your point earlier, I said yes. You know, I mean, it isn't any more complex than that.
That's awesome. That's an awesome story. And so bottoms up. Everybody that's watching right now wants to know what in the world is bottoms up. And as the CEO, please share it with us.
Well, bottoms up at its core is just the recognition that one of the biggest expenses for a single mom and or a family living under the poverty line are diapers. And we just, my wife and I just decided that we would try to supply diapers to people. And we started very small. I was delivering diapers to food pantries and childcare facilities in my Prius. Now we have 2 vehicles that we run deliveries almost every day of the week. We run 2 warehouses. We distribute more than 50,000 diapers a month, and that's just going to continue to grow. We have 52 partners that we distribute to. So it's just a fun thing that we're doing, and it's really it's really very rewarding. So it's just a diaper. It's a diaper gig. So
yeah, but that's important, right? Diapers can't be bought with food stamps. So, like, I want to tell you guys that are watching a little bit about this relationship. So Tammy played a part in helping Tim get this diaper thing going. So Tammy, and so these guys kind of feed off of each other. Tammy will tell you that Tim is the brain guy. He comes up with the idea, tries it out, and if it works, then she'll try it too. But this is a time when you really gave him that seed in order to be able to start this ministry. So will you share with those that are watching what that was all about?
Well, I just, I'm a connector. I love connecting with people. And Tim and I have been connected probably 10 years now. And I've known all about Bottoms Up and what he was doing. And one of the pregnancy centers here in Minnesota was talking about she gets diapers for like a penny each at this place. And I'm like, well, you should really talk to Tim because he's distributing a lot of diapers. Yeah. And just for perspective, they do over 50,000 diapers a month. Our 4 pregnancy centers, which are pretty busy, we do about 70,000 diapers a year. So what they're doing is absolutely incredible. And they do it for the pregnancy centers too. But anyway, so we were able to connect them. And so I think it made their impact like 10 or 20 fold by being able to get them for cheap. So I take credit for that. Yes.
Yes, thank you. I'm sure Tim is very grateful for that as well. Okay, so there's another connection between you two. Tim, I know this was your baby that you birthed. So can you tell us about what was once called Me Too in the after abortion healing arena?
Yeah, I've always been sort of interested in what happens after a woman leaves our care, whether it's at a pregnancy center or whether it's, regardless of what it is, whether it's during a crisis pregnancy situation or an unplanned pregnancy situation, or whether it's after, an abortion healing kind of ministerial session. I've always wondered, what do we do next? I mean, it's not good enough to just say, hey, good luck. We'll see you whenever you call us or something, And so I just thought that maybe we should try to bring some people together. And we started off by we brought them out to a very nice restaurant, the nicest restaurant in Columbus, Ohio. Charged them, $15 or something to get in, underwrote the rest of it. And we brought in a speaker. It was nationally known speaker. He was also post-abortive. And, it was a beautiful day that we sat him down with linen tablecloths and nice silver and all that stuff. And we saw people writing down email addresses and phone numbers of people that they hadn't seen for 2 or 3 years because they hadn't stayed connected. And we were just trying to create not only some sort of community within among the women there, but also a community among the other centers and the other ministries that offered sort of a post-abortive healing ministry. So it worked pretty well. My vision was to fill a stadium. I wanted to fill a basketball stadium, and I still would love to be involved in something like that, because I really think that's when you really reach critical mass. You can ignore a few hundred women having lunch together, but you can't ignore 17,000 people in a stadium.
Yeah.
So
Oh gosh, Tim, I just love your heart, and I love the quality that you're bringing to it, right? Like the best restaurant, the linen tablecloths, a world-known speaker. I just love that. And you guys were really successful at it. And I think in a previous conversation, you said to me that you just want them to have community, right?
yeah, and
You want them to,
and another thing, forgive me for interrupting. You warned us that you were going to interrupt us, and I'm interrupting you. So there you go. Um, I think the people that and I know Tammy feels the same way, and that's why we're friends, actually, is that we are committed that the women that we serve, whether it's in post-abortion healing, or whether it's in a situation where they've got a pregnancy they didn't expect, or whether it's in an adoption situation, they deserve our very best. And they don't deserve some ramshackle, building that just looks like it needs painted or anything like that. They deserve the best we've got. And
yeah,
and that's really, you see so many smaller ministries that they're just kind of getting by, and they're thinking, oh, we don't really need to look that great. Well, yeah, you do.
yeah,
You
yeah.
need to look great.
And I hear that, when I was in the homeless, the food pantry kind of thing,
Yeah,
we didn't want to give them second best. We wanted to give them the best, because there's enough
absolutely.
division, right? There's enough economic division in the world that we just wanted to bring people together in that
Sure.
way. So I love that. And I love your heart for that. So Tammy, how did you get involved? So tell the story, because you wanted.
Yeah,
So
he's not telling you the whole story. Tim has lots of ideas, and some of them are really out there. And so he shared his idea of filling a stadium. He shared his idea about this Me Too event, and he said, and I looked at him like I often do, which is like, you're crazy. It was like, how are you going to get women who've had abortions to pay to come to an event with other women who've had abortions? And what? You're going to do what? And so I basically told him, you go do that. And if it works, come back and tell me, and then I'll join you next year. And so they had their event. They had 100 women at their first event. And I was just shocked, to be honest. And I was like, okay, we're in, we're going to do this. And so I like to think that, he has the great ideas, but then I can take them and make them better. So that's kind of what I can contribute. So for us in the Twin Cities, what we did is the next year, we actually engaged the other abortion recovery ministries within our area. Even though we cover the costs and all that, I wanted it to be like you said, some community feeling. And so we partnered with 9 other organizations to do our event. We did it the same day that they did theirs. And it really was one of the most amazing, beautiful things that I've ever witnessed. I mean, everything he said it would be, I was like, all right, you're right. It was phenomenal. And so we've done it every year since then, except this year because of COVID. So yeah, it was phenomenal.
Well, and remember, we were going to do simulcasting, right? We were going to do the New Year's Eve type thing where you say, hello, Atlanta, hello, New York. We were going to do all of that.
And so we heard about that. We met you, Tammy, at Karin or Heartbeat or wherever. And you and Lisa Rowe, who's the executive or the CEO of Support After Abortion, started having a conversation. And we're going to be a part of that. Yeah. We're going to have this national day of honoring people that have been through abortion, the impact of abortion, and then the healing that comes afterwards. We as an organization try not to say post-abortive, because we've gotten feedback that can be judgmental and condemning.
Yes.
So we kind of use after abortion instead of that. But we're all in, having a big jumbotron in different states across the country and filling those stadiums, Tim. Filling those stadiums with people. So you just stay tuned to the Healing Network, Support After Abortion, and their ministries, and just we'll let you know when it's going to happen, and so that you can go to the nearest location to where you are.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And we will host it in Minneapolis too.
Yes.
We're on there.
Yep. So if you want to be a host city and you think that you can pull community together of people that have been impacted by abortion, please contact us at www.supportafterabortion.com, and we'll get that ball rolling. I don't know if I was supposed to say that, Lisa, if we can debrief about it afterwards, but I just put it out there. So let's get to some good stuff, right? We probably have, not that all of that wasn't good. All of that was really good before, but we probably have some pregnancy centers watching today, or some healing ministries watching, and both of you did run and are currently running some pretty large pregnancy center organizations. Tammy, how about if we start with you? How many centers do you have, and the numbers that you reach? And then Tim, will come to you.
Yeah.
And the organization that you're
serve,
executive of.
So yeah, we have 4 current locations. So 3 are in the Twin Cities, 1 is in Rochester. We have purchased property to open a 5th location in the Phillips community of Minneapolis, which is, if you watch the news at all, it's about 10 blocks north of where George Floyd was killed. So it's right in the heart of the city, a lot happening there. And we actually have a hearing with the city next month in August to move the project forward. So right now it's just a vacant lot. We've torn down the buildings, but we're going to be opening a 12,000 foot center there. We're going to be partnering with a full service medical clinic as well, that they're going to provide prenatal care and all of that for our clients. So we're super excited about that. But yeah, so we have 4 locations, soon to be 5. I forgot your other question. I got on my
It doesn't really matter. I asked you about the numbers of people that you serve, but that really doesn't matter. It's really about, just expanding your reach. And Tim, you were the executive director of a pregnancy center in Columbus, and you had multiple locations as well. There is a point to this. I'm going to ask a question once we set the context.
Yeah, well, we had 7 locations at our peak. And we had 3 really busy, 4 really busy centers, and 3 of them were located then that were less busy in sort of very impoverished parts of the city. So those were somewhat less busy, but yeah, we had 7 at our peak.
And how long were you the executive director there, Tim?
A little more than 9 years.
Okay, and Tammy, you said 17, right, earlier?
I've been here 19. I've been the director since 2009.
Okay, so a lot of years, a lot of collective years of executive director, leadership, and all that kind of stuff. So for those that are watching that maybe have a pregnancy center that's smaller, they have, the desire to grow and things like that. What are some of the lessons that you've learned along the way? Tammy, how about if you start?
Yeah, I was going to say, for me, I'm a huge networker. That's why we're even here today. I met Lisa at a conference and just, super excited to connect with her. And I guess I would say that's a really invaluable part. And I would say be connected to other people who are doing things really well and learn from them. I think that's probably one of the most effective things you can do as an organization is, we don't all have all the answers. There are things we do really, really well. There are things we don't do well. And so try to find other people who you can engage with to encourage you as you grow your own ministry and do what God calls you to do. We don't all have to be the same. We don't all have to be adoption agencies. And I would say, please don't. There's a lot that goes with that. But do what God has called you to do and stick with that, and then do it really, really well.
Wow, we could end the show right there. That was great, great advice. And networking is what we're all about. Right. This is the Healing Network, right? And this is the Healing Network. And if you want to learn from more than 60 people that are going to be presenting, you can register for free for our, there he goes, Nathan, so good, our Support After Abortion Healing Network virtual conference. It's free of charge from 12 noon on July 30th through 10 p.m. on August 1st. You can watch anything that you want, anytime you want, in any order that you want. And so if you want to network, if you want to learn from people that are doing it well, you want to come to this conference. Thank you, Tammy, so much for that. Tim, how about some wisdom from you?
Well, wisdom's a tough word. I I have really three things that I actually wrote them down because you asked this question before, and I think it's important for people to think creatively and use their imagination. I just don't think that people do that very well, and by that I mean get rid of that phrase that we talked about before, that we've always done it that way. I mean, that makes no sense at all. And think futuristically and think in the sort of big picture stuff, because we're all talking about how wonderful it is we're doing these virtual meetings. We're kind of bragging about how we're doing these things, and we're telling donors we're staying alive by them. But frankly, I got asked the question, why weren't we doing those before? I mean, why did we wait until a pandemic to do that? And the only way that you can get there is through sort of imagination. And the second thing is that we have to always marry two things together, and that those are, we if you believe that you live in a world of abundance, nobody is going to get in your way, and nothing will get in your way. If you believe you live in a world of scarcity, automatically everything is your competition. Everybody on earth is your competition, and you can't be as effective as you want to be. And you marry that with the notion that you got to wake up every morning and be and have a mindset not to live a comparative life, but to live a contributive life. And if you marry those two kind of concepts together, it just means that you have no competition, you have no boundaries, you have no impediments to success. And then the third thing is, and what I would kind of encourage people, don't be afraid to lead. I mean, leadership is hard. I mean, I can't tell you. I mean, I don't want to tell any secrets, Tammy, but Tammy and I cry on each other's shoulders all the time. I mean, it's like, and that's the relationship we kind of have. But leadership's hard. You're going to cry. You're going to stay awake at night. You're going to have to tell people that you really like some really tough things. But don't be afraid to lead. You're made to lead, and God put you here to be a leader, not to be a follower. And that means lead your board, lead your employees, lead the women you serve. Be a leader, and study leadership skills and become a good leader.
Oh my gosh, you guys, that is so good. Listen, if you just weren't sitting on the edge of your seat listening to every word that they just both spoke, you missed out, because there was some great wisdom in there. There was some great, really big kind of ideas to act out of. Not into the details of the day to day, but this is where you come from. This is where your thinking has to originate in order for you to be able to grow into the types of ministries that they have. Wow, that was so good. Earlier, we were talking about COVID and how I think you used the word innovate. Today, you said imagination, right? But let's talk about innovation, and that's one of the things that we focus on is innovating, educating, building, strengthening, all of that kind of stuff. So, how about we start with you, Tim? What does
Holy
that
cow.
mean to you?
I thought you were going to start with her. And I was just going to say, yeah, what she said was right.
Well,
Again, I think you kind of I think the one thing that we have learned with COVID, and I think the one thing we've learned with the social strife, is to ask ourselves, what if? And and if you continue to ask yourself, what if, like for instance, in Tammy's case, what if we just bought a piece of property and there's riots going 10 stories? You had to board up the building. I mean, it was bad. I mean, what happens if we have riots break out in Minneapolis or Louisville or wherever? What happens if we have some pandemic? I mean, what happens if we get $1 million or lose $1 million? I mean, we've got to always ask those questions. And I think there's some great wisdom being imparted to us right now if we just stop and listen, because this is a time where people have to do things differently.
Yeah.
And we have to dedicate ourselves to doing things differently from this day forward. We can't go back.
Right. So it really is about adapting, right?
Yeah.
being able to continue to do, not shut down business, especially when you're helping people kind of business like we're in. You got to pivot, you got to innovate, you got to figure it out. So Tammy, how has this impacted you and what you're doing?
Yeah, before I answer that, I would just want to throw out one other piece of wisdom that actually came from Tim that he has shared over the years with me that's been really influential, which is, obviously our ministries, we depend on donors to fund them, right? Like we're 100% funded by donors. And I remember Tim has always said, we have one donor. Like we don't have 2,000 donors, we have one donor, and that's God. And when you have that perspective, I think it kind of like you were saying earlier, Tim, it like loosens your grip a little bit, and you just realize. So with COVID, for example, one of the first things that we did was reach out to our donors to see how they were doing. It's like, how can we help you right now? You have been so faithful to us for 46 years. What can we do for you? Like some of our donors are, have lost jobs, they were shut in, didn't have all the things that they needed. And so we reached out to like almost all of our donors in one way or another, just to see how we could support them. And our funding has been up and down, and that's certainly been challenging. But, at the end of the day, we have one donor and God has sustained us, and we've been able to get through so far. And then the other things we've just done more creatively, like everybody, right? Everybody's moved virtual. Our abortion recovery groups were immediately able to go virtual. We even developed a drive-by pregnancy test. So we put a pregnancy test kit together. And so clients made appointments online, and we did a touchless protocol. We created a brochure that we stuck in there with a video that our nurse did on how to conduct the pregnancy test and stuff like that. And, we just modified and did virtual appointments, all that kind of stuff that everybody else is doing. And then the other thing we did, we have a network of pregnancy center directors in Minnesota. And so we normally get together every other month. Well, we, as a larger organization, I feel a responsibility for smaller centers in our community because I know they don't all have the resources that we have. And so we did, Zoom calls every week for like months just to say, how are you doing? What are you doing? Who's open? What services are you doing? And then we shared all of our protocols, and all of that. So again, it kind of brings it back to collaboration and just supporting each other and not doing it on your own.
Hey, Tammy, can I ask you a question? Would you give them money?
Who?
The smaller centers. I mean, because that's really where the rubber meets the road, and that's where we really get whacked out. When you start talking about money. But my question is, because we've done it with Bottoms Up. There's another organization that's really smaller than us that does this in Columbus, Ohio, and we've actually offered them money.
Yeah.
I mean, and I just wondered how deep that sort of because that collaboration stops at money. It just right then,
Well, and I will say for us, and we do have a center here who actually tithes off of their income. And so they do give money to other organizations. For me, I guess you're putting me on the spot. Thank you very much.
So let me interrupt for a second because Tim just hijacked the interview and did put you on the spot. I'm going to give you an out. You can give that answer to him later if you don't want to answer it now, because we do need to keep moving on.
Gotcha.
I told you these two were characters, y'all. I knew that this show was not going to be normal. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So I
do have an answer. If anybody wants to know that answer, they can message me.
Go ahead. I'll let you answer it. Go ahead.
I would just say, I would probably stop at donations simply because our donors give to our ministry and what we're doing. And so I would want to keep the integrity of what they've given to us specifically. And I wouldn't feel free to donate that elsewhere, but I would certainly share resources. I would share a lot of other things. And I do. I would probably stop at money for that reason. But.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Thank you for that. And thank you.
We'll talk.
Clearly.
Okay, so we're running out of time. So both of you are presenting at this conference. So I would like to hear from you briefly. Just a teaser. So all I want you to give is enough for that somebody's going to lean in and listen to you and say, okay, I'm going to find their name on the list and I'm going to click on it and I'm going to watch their presentation. We're going to let you start, Tim, and Tammy, you'll close out our show.
Well, if you've ever thought about what a man thinks about an abortion experience, you should watch my presentation because you will learn.
Ooh, all
That's
right.
it.
Nice.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, well, my teaser is just that in preparation for what I was going to share, I called all 3 of our local abortion clinics and asked them the same question. And they are responsible for 95% of the abortions in our state. So I asked them all the same question, and I'll tell you what that question is and how they answered it.
Oh, wow.
Perfect.
So call the abortion clinics, ask a question. That's pretty intriguing, people. You don't want to miss either of these presentations, I'm telling you. These guys are really awesome. So thank you both for being on the show. Thank you so much for your being so transparent and genuine with us. And I just love the way the 2 of you interact with each other. I said earlier, they're like an old married couple. I didn't get to say that on the show, but it's really cute to see you guys interact. We're really looking forward to partnering with you in the future. And looking forward to having you at our conference. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
So for those of you that are watching, you're welcome. Thank you, guys. For those of you that are watching, I just want to let you know, again, we have virtual groups available. You can go to our website to look www.supportafterabortion.com. Under the resource page, we have several different virtual groups happening right now. And also, if you have not already registered for our conference, which begins this Thursday, it's free of charge. To view whatever you want to view during the hours of that conference during that 3-day period. And we do have a premium pass for $49.99 that you can purchase, which gives you 90 days access after the conference, including all of the live stuff that happens during the conference days. So you have it right up there. There's the website where you can go register. Thank you so much. We'll see you. This is our 13th episode. I can't believe we've been doing this for 3 months now. And so next Tuesday, 4 p.m., come back and join me for the Support After Abortion Healing Network Facebook Live event. Thanks so much for watching.
Thank you.